Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because message is more important than the messenger. First, let me thank Gail at Night for coming through on the Cash App from the bottom of my black heart and from the depths of my black mind. And I want to thank S. Jock and Senor Kanga for coming through on Cash App and on email with the articles that you guys have sent me. I'm behind in the emails, and it's not either one of your faults. But I'm behind in them checking them, and I get the articles and the links, and it helps me to go back mentally back and forth because I have to mentally shift gears between my job, between advising my children, running the business, which has had a major change in it lately, and being a husband. Then the fifth thing is that I have to upload to the channel, this channel, and to buy me a coffee. I'm going to tell you all what black men traveling means to me. To me, black men traveling is about saying no to N19 culture. There's black culture, but then there's nigger culture. And it's about saying no to the second. With that being said, I realize that there are two camps of those that detest us and despise us. Now, most of the hate is directed at passport bros, but by extension, it is directed at the BMPTs in general. The camp that we know about is the camp of the misandrist hyenas and their sympathizers and the gynocrat goons. That includes the dating roaches. They're in on that. There's more, though. In addition to them, there are some that don't seem to sympathize with the misandrists and the gynocrat goons, but they actually see black men going abroad and doing things that won't help. That is a different story altogether. Those guys, they seem to not want us to be stuck in the matrix with worst women on the planet who are transactional and only in one direction. And I can't blame them for that because I don't want these things for us. But we have to remember that we have to deprogram ourselves. When we get ready to leave, we have to do homework before we get ready to leave to even pick the right place. But we have to deprogram ourselves, and we have to be ready to do that. And I'm going to tell you that when you get ready to, when you deprogram yourself, or you start to do it and get yourself ready, you have to go to an environment and adjust to it. In order to adjust to it, you're going to have to take perspectives from two sources. One, the local men who grew up there. Two, other men like you that had to adjust to there as adults. You cannot afford to dispense with either one of those perspectives. If you do not do so, take both of them. You can wind up doing certain things. And I realize that I am advocating for not only passport bros, but BMPTs in general to keep in touch with each other. But I don't want a situation where where you go and you get in touch with the bros, but you have no contact with the local men. I don't want that kind of situation, because if you don't have any contact with the local men, then there will still be some things you will not learn. You will learn some things about how you adjust to the environment. And it's okay that a lot of the passport bros and Pattaya, as an example, live in the same area. If that's where they fine. If they live near each other, that's actually a good thing. But understand this: communities are not built on fornication. They're not. And for this reason, the conservative route is the route to go. We black men are going to have to go to places like this, but we're going to have to go and actually not go into the red light districts. We're going to have to go and actually veer and steer away from these places. And the thing to understand is that sometimes a part of a city is where it's for sale, but there are other times where it's not a part of a city, but an entire city. And if Pattaya has that reputation within Thailand, that's not where you want to go. You see, here in Saudi Arabia, Bahrain is known as the licentious spot. If a single Saudi male goes into Bahrain, he's free to go, but if he does go, guess what? I don't have to tell you what that means. A single Saudi male might even go to Dubai and he's less suspect. But if a single Saudi male goes to Bahrain, everybody understands that what he's doing is he's going to go there and wild the uck out. Everyone knows this. Everyone knows. And if he's not going to do that, guess what? They still think he is. That's what they expect. That's what they believe. If he's not doing these wild things, they still think he's going to go to the bar, to the club, and he's going to drink, and then he's going to go maybe to a massage parlor and get a happy ending. That's what's going through their head. That's what's going through their minds. I didn't go to, the only time I went was with my wife once. And that went down. For me, it's a drive to get there. And y'all know I don't like to drive that much. Those of you who know me, I will, but I don't prefer it. But I even understood that the best thing for me to do was to not go by myself just for the sake of reputation. It's like that. So if you like the beach in Pattaya, or there's a nice place to stay or something, your best bet is to go and get a traditional lady elsewhere and marry and go as a couple. You see, I've learned from traveling or travel time with Paul. And I don't think travel time with Paul really likes anybody. He may one day not, he's never said anything about me as far as I know, but he may one day hear this and he may say, I don't like that dude. He may go in on me. He may not. I'm not beefing with travel time with Paul. Certainly not going to start it. And that's because what I've listened to from him, although he does roast the hell out of people, and although I do have a particular disagreement, what I've heard about from him when it comes to these traveling, is really cautionary tales. Be careful of this, be careful of that. And one of the things he mentioned was that you can get a traditional lady wearing a long skirt in a traditional area that's not the red light district, and you still have a bad experience. I listened to what he said about that lady that he met at a mall. Really good English. Baby daddy in Tallahassee. His tale, though, is a cautionary tale of going the conservative route. He's got a lot to say about Richie Mack, and I don't know enough about Pattaya to say that Richie Mack is scamming people with the consultation or not, but I doubt it. I doubt he's actually scamming anybody. If he offers a consultation, you could choose to not get it. If he offers a consultation, one of the things I picked up on is that even Richie Mack says, look, obey the law and learn the ways as much as you can. Don't be a bad guest and be a rude guest in someone else's house. So I don't see evidence of him scamming. If the information is free, the fact that I still question, well, is there anybody that's going to assemble it all in one area? Because being able to read different things from different people is a start. Being able to ask and get answers in real time from someone that experienced something is it's different. It does have its own value. And it can be worth a fair price. The question is the price fair? I leave it up to Richie Mack's customers to determine that. What I do understand, though, is that Pattaya might be the place where you cannot meet a traditional woman. And the thing that Travel Time with Paul mentioned was something I just heard just before I began to record this. I didn't know this. So when I recorded and uploaded yesterday and said that you don't want to make the types of behaviors in women that you dislike the more profitable route to go either. I said that. You don't want to set up a situation where the women of the night wind up financially more successful than honest traditional women. You don't want that, because then, traditional women will stop being traditional and honest women will stop being honest. I mean, many men have said, I believe in God. But when they realize that the spiritual religious route is punished by celibacy by Western women, they say, I'm not going that route. Same with women and money. If you punish purity with poverty, then women will refuse to be pure. That's what, in a nutshell, what I was saying. Do not punish purity with poverty. And now what Travel Time with Paul was saying is that that's exactly what wound up being the case. The woman that fleeced him pretty much said, look, man, I'm a freelancer. Okay, that's why I was flirting with them dudes. And this is an old video of his, old story. But there's plenty to learn, because what's happening is that you've got ladies in Pattaya that are acting a particular way. And it seems to be a particular pattern when you factor in several other guys that have wound up with women that were loose, playing for pay. Seems to be a pattern. It's not just him. He called the pattern out, but I noticed it before. Women coming from Isan, going to Pattaya. From Isan in Pattaya. Hell, just in Pattaya anyway. What he stated was that the lady he met and dated had a sister that was religious, started an honest business, and the business was struggling. But the sister that was that met Travel Time with Paul was freelancing. She was already making money. She was collecting. And she had talked her religious sister into going the pay for play route or play for pay route. And that sister was about to go ahead and try to get herself used to it, using Paul as a model ding-a-ling. What was the reason? She didn't start off that way. That wasn't what she wanted in the beginning. But you know what? The test was not stopping. Now, I'm going to easily tell you, if she was praying to Buddha for relief, I'm telling you, Buddha was not about to get her out of that. That ain't Buddha's job. Buddha is not a god, didn't say he was a god. It's not Buddha's job to get to rescue people. He can't. He could only do so much when he was alive. He's been dead and gone for a long time. Why are we going to burden him with this? He had to be rescued by God if he got it. So I'm going to not ignore that, but I'm not going to dwell on that either. The point is that in the here and the now that we can see and touch and smell and taste, I'm telling you, she was seeing that as long as she stayed honest, that would be punished with poverty. And that being an SLUT was the only way that she was going to become financially solvent, no other way. But Paul wasn't going to go for that. And so eventually she attacked Paul. Went to where Paul was staying later on, attacked him again, and sat on the couch and started crying. I'm tired of you black dudes doing me wrong. She a freelancer. All I try to do is love on y'all, but y'all don't love me. But she's a freelancer. She had in her mind that we are okay with the freelancing. Too many of us have been okay with pay for play, but we have limits. We actually are looking and saying, well, if you're going to pay for play, you're not going to pretend that this is something else. Even if we pretend it's something else to spare your reputation in front of others, you're not going to pretend to me like it's something else. We're not doing that. So I'm saying to you that the conservative route is the way to go, and I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. And this is real. Even the conservative route can be kind of expensive, but it is less transactional. However, the conservative route has its downside, but it's not the same as the route you guys might be going. Now, I would say that if you're going to go the pay for play route, at least put it all on the table. Yeah, and you tell her, I'm paying, I'm playing. And we're not going to confuse more than that. But the issue is that they're still going to try that. They're not going to stop at whatever it is that you agree upon. So I can't even tell you to go that route. We should leave the matrix. We have to leave the matrix if we can. We should keep in contact with each other. We absolutely should. But in order to not become a laughing stock that is starting to look like black men are becoming in places like Pattaya and by extension, Thailand, we're going to have to make friends with the local men and learn what's really going on. That's true. We're going to have to do that. And that might mean that for the first 2 years, you don't get your thing wet. And I'm not promoting celibacy. That's unnatural. In the West, you have to prepare for it because everything else is even more dangerous. But I don't promote celibacy. There are churches that have tried that, and you saw what happened. But I can tell you, too, though, that you must be willing to actually get into the fabric of where you are. You must. Because if you don't, you're going to be taken advantage of. What people fail to understand is I looked into Pattaya and listened to somebody describe the history of it too. And apparently Pattaya is not actually that large in its physical size nor in its permanent population. It was even smaller during the Vietnam War. So apparently the reason that Pattaya even has an international airport to this day is because of the skin trade. Now, I don't mean skin trafficking per se, but the trade. You know what I mean. That's why. Whoa. Shout out to S Jock for coming through in the Cash App. Bruh, thank you from the bottom of my black heart and from the depths of my black mind. As I was recording right now, I heard the notification. So thank you, S Jock. Look, what I'm going to tell you guys is that the conservative route, intimately speaking, is going to be the better route to go. It truly is. And I'm not telling you that you can't marry more than one. Oh, I'm with you marrying more than one. Absolutely. But if you are going there and you're going to make yourself available for fornication early on, let alone seek it out, they're going to mark you. And that is not okay. I am not okay with that. That is not fine. Now, to be honest, I don't particularly know how the Thai really, I don't know how Thai women really truly feel about black men in general. Do you have to pay? Do you not? I don't know. It seems to me like there's a bit of both. They like you, but they still got to make them. I'm not really sure. I have stated before that if you really want access to a zaddy's money, it's probably best to do that by impressing one of the women that just got through scamming one of them out their money. Maybe, but I'm telling you now, we do have to be careful, because if you got some guys that are hating on us and it's not for reasons of misandry, it is not because they sympathize with the hyena gynocracy, then understand that there will be the contempt of the local men that will happen. And while we're not hearing about this right now, I don't want that to become the case later on. I'm not with the hatred because some of us have left, but I do think it's time for us to start to police our own groups from here on out. SYSBM do. That is the case. But unfortunately, my proof that I'm SYSBM is missing. But I want this to be across the board. And it's a part of the reason that I've talked about on Buy Me a Coffee, what I've talked about. Blockchain validation. And, you're going to have to go on Buy Me a Coffee to hear the details of it. But I'm now beginning to see even more than I knew a few days ago when I started to talk about it, the reason that this is going to be needed. Because right now, where we're going at this point in the largest numbers is a bit of a problem. Starting to be a bit of a problem. And I think it has to do with the fact that we've been done so wrong by those hyenas in the West that we're looking for some other women to undo that. And you can find women that will behave femininely, and they will certainly, bend over, lay on their back for the right price. You can find that. That's possible. But I also think that, as a matter of fact, I know that they're still plotting and they're still planning. And I just don't think that you deserve to be the ones to be taken advantage of. I mean, right now, I do know that a few years ago, it wasn't you that were being sought out for the money, just the money and only the money. I know that. But now it's starting to seem like more and more of us are being marked for just the dough. Only that. And I don't like that idea. Women that were not looking at you and me as strictly financial come-ups a few years ago should not start doing that now. And what I know is that we can prevent that. You want a financial come-up, you're going to bring the full package yourself. You want a financial commitment from me? Fair enough. You're going to bring to me a sexual commitment and a domestic duty commitment in exchange, and you're going to be respectful. And this is between me and you, not between me and your parents. I'll respect them, but my duty's to you. I'm talking about a marriage. That's what I'm referring to. And even if you're afraid to marry according to the laws of her home country, because you might get stiffed, then you do it according to the rules of your faith. But that's what I'm saying. Because you see, you can't sit up and think that you just gonna go over there and get you some trim from some feminine women and that's it. And then you just gonna rack up on trim to make up for all the trim you didn't get in the West. It's not like that. It's not going to happen. I'm married. And I can tell you that there are times where I have to remind myself, okay, she didn't do this stuff that they did in the West. Now, for me, it's easy. I picked someone that didn't do it. But what I'm trying to get you to understand is that my wife cannot undo what they did in the West. It's not a job to. She ain't wrong for that. She can't. I can't. No one can. The ones who did me wrong can't undo it. But I'm actually happier now than I would have been if I'd just been going through, just running through different vaginas, whether here or elsewhere. Happier now. All she had to do was not do these things, and she hasn't. I will do the work of healing and not bleeding on her so long as she doesn't also cut me. I will say this, though, even to some of those of you who are angry with black men with passports going to these areas, let me remind you of this. You cannot make a valid point by calling these dudes corny. Whether it's passport bros or it's us SYSBM or it's the passport gang or the IBMOR. You cannot make a valid point calling us corny because in all honesty, in nigger culture, everything is corny. Rich Mac says certain things to L on camera I wouldn't say to anybody, L or anyone else for that matter. But that's Rich Mac and L. There are ways that Austin has handled things on camera that I would not have done. But you know what? That's Austin. I say that because while I don't want to be corny in the eyes of any woman, even when I'm not interested, the fact remains that we come from a culture where we were taught to view everything as corny. Only the absolute smoothest ain't corny. And bruh, look, that doesn't exist. I mean, the opposite of corny does not exist. What's the proof that you're not corny? It doesn't exist. Not having to say much and getting all the validation from women, that doesn't exist. It just doesn't. That's something we're going to have to get out of our vocabulary. And there may be times we might have to tell somebody, hey man, don't get overexcited about what should be routine. But we're going to have to get this lame and corny out of our vocabulary. It's not that these things don't exist at all. It is that we have a hypersensitive radar to these things that gives false positives. And that's something that we got from those hyena gynocrats, the matriarchs we left behind. We got that from them. We vocalize it more, but we learned that from them, let's be honest. Because we already know, to them, if you ain't Gloctavius, you're Urkel, and Urkel's corny, and he's lame. And we know that it was because of them that Jaleel White was labeled and cast type as Urkel because he played the character. He took an acting job, and he didn't have to do it so well that you couldn't see him as anything else. But he took that acting job, and the gynocrats, the hyenas, were never willing to see him as anything else. Never. He didn't have the option. Jaleel White, the actor, is a celebrity. He doesn't have the option to marry a sister, and it's not his fault. It was never an option for him. Wesley Snipes didn't have that option, and it ain't his fault. We learned this from an environment where you can't be man enough to be validated by these broads. Tom Brady cheated on his first wife, apparently, with Giselle. Giselle cheated with a personal trainer. But understand this. You can call it karma, but she didn't cheat with the personal trainer because Tom Brady cheated on his first wife. She cheated with the personal trainer because she's a ratbat. She's a cheater. I'll say it like that. That's why. Because she can't be satisfied. There's no happiness for her, no matter what. That's why. And truth be told, I'm not going to be as hard on Tom Brady for cheating on his first wife, as nasty and funky, foul, filthy as that was. That is. But I'm not going to go as hard on him as I am on her, because where he lives, polygyny is not legal. It's against the law to marry more than one. She doesn't have it in her nature to really take 2 or 3 dinglings. She just did it because she was mad at Tom Brady, and she can't be happy. That's all that was. Talking about you need to give up football, stay at home. If he had done that, she would have straight up left him for the personal trainer. She would have said to him, you know what? Let me tell you this. You staying at home, you pitiful, you getting out of shape. I don't care what kind of money you got saved up. I don't care. Look at me. I'm still a model. Guys like me. As a matter of fact, I'm running off with my personal trainer because he's a real man. That's what would have happened. She would have said, I told you to stay home and you did it. You ain't no man. How he going to stay home all as much as, she said, and she still has the ability to cheat with a personal trainer with no sort of, without hiding it. She was trying to set herself up. We come from that kind of environment. You cannot take influences and ways of thinking from that environment and use those to criticize those of us who travel. And what neither side is saying in this argument is that the sexually conservative route is going to be the better one. It absolutely is. I can tell you, traditional practicing Muslim women can be the most satisfying in the bedroom. So you're not going to lose out on the quality. That's not the case. Traditional women that are chaste in your faith can be very satisfying. Doesn't really take much anyway, but they can be. But you cannot think that by chasing or paying for a bunch of different trim, you're going to undo what was done. You're going to remember what those hyena broads did to you back in the West. When you go anywhere, you will remember it. You just are looking to not go through that again. And eventually, they will just be memories. They won't be that sharp and that distinct. They will merely be memories. And they will be offset by the good memories that you will have in greater quantity over longer and longer and longer stretches of time if you go that conservative route. Believe that. Black men, you are sought after physically speaking. You are wanted by these women physically speaking. And that is a strong urge in these women. You can use that to negotiate. And if what you really want is something beyond that pay for play, that trim that you got to pay for and then hope doesn't show back up later on at night with a bunch of dudes to rob you. Or that you hope doesn't show up later on demanding more of a commitment while they still play for pay. If that's what you want, then you can use what you got to negotiate, but you can't be out there offering that and money to go along with it. You can't do that. Charge the full commitment. Trust me. and actually go and learn the ways of the people there. Do that. Make friends that are local, men, and you will, at that, believe me, I'm not even going to sit up and try to tell you why you should. If you try it, you will see what I mean. And those of you that have done so, chime in the comment section underneath here and tell my audience why they should do so when they've gone abroad. Tell them why. I would say this for Austin. I know Austin will meet guys from there and he'll be willing to listen and talk, but make actual friends from these places. Do that. I hope that what I've said benefits and helps. I mean that. I really do. Thank you for listening again. As always, Black Heart, Black Mind, Blackout, Assalamu Alaikum, and Black Heterosexual Non-Select Male Power, because the hyenas don't like it, and Black Patriarchy isn't until extinction of Judgment Day. But we ain't going to get that just paying to play. And thank you for flying with me here on Jet Black Airways, where Jet Black is also a verb. Keep jetting black with me till the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender, justice, forever.